Hey friends, welcome. January 31st, 2025. What if Jesus were here today? Not just in spirit, but walking through our neighborhoods, sitting in our coffee shops, standing beside us in our struggles. Would we recognize him? Would we stop to listen? Each day this year, we embark on this journey, imagining Jesus not in ancient Jerusalem, but in our modern world, in our own communities. And today, we find him in Columbus, Ohio. He is not a distant figure of the past. He is here, living among us, speaking hope into our city, into our lives. Let's step into his day. The city is still asleep when Jesus steps onto the damp grass at Cathedral Park. A faint mist rises from the pond, the streetlights casting long shadows. He kneels by a stone bench, hands open to the heavens. Father, let your presence be felt in this city today. Let the hurting find peace, the lost find direction, and the weary find rest. Open their eyes to see you, their hearts to receive you. He prays over the homes surrounding the park, over the couple arguing behind closed doors, the college student wrestling with anxiety, the elderly man waking up alone. He prays over the highways, the office buildings, the classrooms. As the first streaks of sunlight touch the downtown skyline, Jesus stands. His work today begins with the least seen, the most forgotten. The morning chill lingers as Jesus walks to Faith Mission on East 8th Avenue, where volunteers are handing out breakfast. He picks up a tray and sits among the men and women who have come in from the cold. A man in a ragged army jacket stares at his plate, barely touching his food. His eyes are distant. "You served?" Jesus asks. The man looks up, surprised. "Yeah, 2 tours in Iraq." He shifts uncomfortably. "That was a long time ago." Jesus nods, but the weight of it still follows you. The man exhales, rubbing his hands together. "I don't sleep much. The past, it won't let go." Jesus places his hand on his shoulder. You are not your past. You are not forgotten. A single tear rolls down the man's cheek. "I used to believe in God, but if he's real, why am I here?" Jesus looks into his eyes. "Because I needed to find you." The man swallows hard, staring at him as if seeing hope for the first time in years. From there, Jesus walks to Star House, a drop-in center for homeless youth. A teenage boy with a bruised lip sits on the steps outside, kicking a loose brick. Jesus sits beside him. "Rough morning?" The boy snorts. "Rough life." "You're stronger than you think." The boy scoffs. "You don't know me." Jesus looks at him, eyes filled with knowing. "I do. I know how hard you fought just to be here. I know the nights you cried yourself to sleep. I know the dreams you gave up on. But they're not gone. You can still start again." The boy shifts uncomfortably. "I don't know how." Jesus smiles. "Let's start with breakfast." Jesus walks through the short North Arts District, where the streets pulse with life. Artists paint murals on brick walls, coffee shops hum with conversation, and vendors set up booths along the sidewalk. Inside One Line Coffee, a group of Ohio State students argue over theology. One shakes his head, frustrated. Religion is just another way to control people. If Jesus was real, I doubt he'd even step foot in a church today. Jesus pulls up a chair. That's an interesting thought, he says. The students glance at him, confused. Who are you? Just someone who likes good conversation. The young woman leading the discussion leans forward. So, what do you think? Would Jesus even show up to a church? Jesus smiles. I think he'd be right here. A pause, then she chuckles. Fair enough. They keep talking, debating justice, morality, faith. Jesus doesn't argue. He asks, what would the world look like if we actually lived by love? They think. One finally says, better. Jesus smiles. Then let's start there. At the Columbus Metropolitan Library, he finds a woman staring blankly at an open book. Her eyes are puffy, her fingers gripping the pages too tightly. Is it a good book? Jesus asks. She jumps quickly, wiping her eyes. I don't know. Jesus sits across from her. You're carrying something heavy. Her lip trembles. My husband left me last week. Jesus nods, letting her speak. She pours out her heartbreak. How she wasn't enough, how she feels lost. When she finally stops, he gently says, you are deeply loved. Not because of who you were to him, but because of who you are. Tears spill over. I don't know how to move forward. Jesus takes her hand, one step at a time, and you don't have to do it alone. At Nationwide Children's Hospital, Jesus enters a room where a little girl lies motionless. Hooked up to monitors, her parents sit beside her, holding hands tightly. The mother looks up, eyes hollow with exhaustion. She hasn't woken up in 3 days. Jesus walks to the bed, placing his hand over the child's. He whispers her name. Slowly, her eyes flutter open. The mother gasps. The father covers his mouth, overcome. Jesus smiles at the little girl. Welcome back. At the Reeb Center, he meets a man in his 40s, struggling over a math problem in a GED class. I don't belong here, the man mutters. I'm too old for this. Jesus hands him a pencil and says, it's never too late to start again. As the sun sets, Jesus steps into Rock City Church for worship. As the final song ends, the pastor invites anyone who needs prayer to come forward. Jesus steps up. Some recognize him from earlier in the day. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Jesus speaks and his voice fills the room. Some of you are carrying shame. Some of you are afraid to believe. Some of you think God has forgotten you. He looks out at the faces, each one holding a story. He hasn't. You are seen. You are loved. Come to me, and I will give you rest. A woman sobs. A young man steps forward. A businessman drops his head in his hands. and Jesus waits, arms open. At Scioto Mile Park, Jesus kneels one last time. The river glows under the city lights. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the people you love so deeply. Keep working in their hearts. Let them know you are near. The wind stirs. The city continues on. Jesus stands, walking into the night. But he is not gone. He is here, in every heart that was touched today. Now, if Jesus walked through Columbus today, would we notice him? Would we stop? Would we listen? The truth is, he is here, through those who serve, love, and bring hope. And tomorrow, we continue this journey. Where will Jesus go next? Will he meet you where you are? Come back and let's find out together. And before you leave today, friends, I'd like to offer a prayer for the hopes, needs, and intentions that you are holding in your heart today. You ready? I'll lead. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. That was beautiful. And I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll take Jesus to another city where he'll make a difference and speak into the hearts of those who need him. Don't forget, hug your family. They love you. And I'll see you tomorrow, friends. I can't wait to see you, because I look for you every day. When you are here, everything is better. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.